Hello everyone, my name is Jake from Talk Too Much, and today I am happy to give my ranking of Evil Dead. We finally have a new one to add to the franchise here, which means only one thing: we have to rank all six of them. And just to let you know, this is my favorite franchise in general. I love Evil Dead. It is my favorite horror franchise. It is the most consistent franchise. You can talk about Scream falling off earlier this year. I'm willing to hear your comments on that. But when it comes to Evil Dead, it is a safe bet to always have your money on Evil Dead when it comes to a new one, whether it's an old one or whatever we're going to get in the future. You can count on at least it being a good solid movie. So today I'm here to rank all six of them. And before I get started, let me know down below in the comments, how would you rank the Evil Dead franchise? Which one's your favorite? Which one's the worst one in your opinion? Why do you think that Evil Dead sucks if you think that there is one that is bad? I want to hear it from you. For me, at least, all these movies I'd give at lowest of 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to go ahead and let you know that right off the bat. So this is my favorite franchise, with one at the very top that is my all-time favorite horror movie. It's in competition for Halloween, at least. I switch back and forth, but as of right now, it is my favorite horror movie. So let's waste no time and get started with number 6. And number 6, to start off the list, it's going to be the third entry from Sam Raimi, and that's going to be Army of Darkness. Now, this movie is not bad by any means. It's just not a typical Evil Dead movie. It leans full on the way of adventure and comedy, and it's still very enjoyable to watch. I mean, I've watched it a handful of times, and when I was revisiting it for this franchise ranking, I was just kind of like, watching it, I was like, this is still quite a fun time. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way, but I'm like, I got no really big complaints out of this movie. It takes Ash, the main character that we've been following since the original Evil Dead. He's finally gone back in time all the way through, and he's back in, like, I think 13 AD, where all of this is supposedly have started. And he is just kind of the king. He's trying to take care of the Deadites from the beginning. And lo and behold, you just get nothing but chaos and fun. And I love the comedy in this movie. I think it works great. I think the script is so fun, and that is one thing I can praise Sam Raimi for, is he did a phenomenal job for this script. So even though I have it at the lowest tier here, don't take it as offensive or anything. It is still an enjoyable movie, and for me, it's going to sit here at number 6. Number 5, we got here the newest entry of the Evil Dead universe. We got Evil Dead Burn. Now, like I just said in my review, this movie is very much a dark, gritty Evil Dead movie. It definitely tenses up on the gore, it tenses up on the violence, it kicks it all in the high gear, and it is so much just like, you want Evil Dead, we're gonna give you Evil Dead at the worst possible way. And walking out of theaters, I was just haunted by this movie. And even though I can say this one doesn't have a lot of rewatch value for me, as a film itself, I can so much appreciate what this movie had to offer, expanding the lore just a little bit, even just flipping the envelope some. A lot of the Easter eggs, they really did it for me. They made me happy, at least once I had the realization and connecting the dots. I think that the main girl, Alice, is definitely great. I'm not saying that she's the best final girl we've had in the newest Evil Dead movies, but she's definitely one I can back and get behind. I think she does some very gnarly and disgusting things, and with everything she witnesses, you can't blame her. I very much like the director, Sebastian Ballard. I like his decision and what he chooses to do with this movie. My biggest complaint is, like I said, it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value just because of how mean and how dirty it just is. I think that if there was more comedy involved in this Evil Dead, like a lot of the other entries in this list, probably would have stuck the landing a little bit more for me, and maybe would be a spot or two higher on this list. But unfortunately, just the lack of comedy in this and just going all mean spirit just kind of doesn't work for me so much. But even still, a great Evil Dead entry nonetheless, and it sits here at number 5. Number 4 for the Evil Dead, I got the Evil Dead 2013 remake. Now, I am very hit or miss when it comes to remakes. I always heard that as for when horror remakes go, this is definitely one of the more brutal ones, and that is absolutely true in the case. It is very that sweet spot of the 2010s, 2013 obviously, of course, but it's very much around that early 2010s with the style and everything it looks. I really like the subject matter that they try to control in this movie, talking about addiction, helping the main character Mia get over her addiction and just everything that she has gone through. And then of course, with her having her withdrawals, everybody's just thinking, oh, she's not possessed. She's just going through withdrawals right now, which it sounds worse than it is, but it's actually kind of comedic when you think about it. So this movie, it is phenomenal. I really think it's one of the better remakes that we have gotten in the horror genre, especially whenever people ask me what's a movie that will actually horrify me. This is a one I typically recommend just because of how intense it is, but just kind of like Evil Dead Burn, it is a little bit darker. So again, rewatch value is a little bit decreased there, but I can at least still praise what they went for this movie and say it has a lot of balls. It is not afraid of anything. It's just, and when you get to that final scene and all the raining blood is happening, it is so badass. It is so cool. I'm ready for the chainsaw to be rev, and let's get going. Number 3 on this list, it is definitely an interesting one. Of course, it's what most people know Evil Dead by. And with that being said, I have Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2. Now, I think this movie, it has that perfect balance right in between horror and comedy, where it does lean just a tad bit more on the goofy comedy side, but without overdoing it and still having that touch of horror that makes this very much an easy watch for me, an easy, comfortable watch to be exact. I think you get the most iconic lines out of Evil Dead 2, like groovy, things like that. I actually have that on the plate of the front of my truck because again, this is my favorite franchise. And Evil Dead 2, I admire it so much. I love it so much. I think this was a bold swing for Sam Raimi to take the original and just add a little spin to it. And you very much see that even if it is 6 years later, you see that and you can go, yeah, this is the same guy that made it, but he's had more time with his craft to be able to do a little bit more. So I absolutely adore this film. I love the goofy side. I love the horror side of it. I love that we're expanding with the Deadites even more. I think we're taking some bold swings at the same time. Ash as a main character, he's one of my favorite main characters. The whole thing about him having the chainsaw arm, what guy doesn't love that? What guy is going to look at this trailer that has never seen Evil Dead and be like, that guy has a chainsaw for an arm. I'll watch it. I mean, he's got a freaking chainsaw. Like, you can't go wrong with that. So I absolutely adore Evil Dead 2. I think it is such a fun watch. It is such a fun sequel. I understand some people maybe have a harder time watching it than others. At least this is definitely in the era of Raimi that you start to see, okay, this guy can be horrifying, but he can also be funny at the same time too. All right, now I know a lot of people know what my number 2 is going to be, which is going to make a lot of you mad, but understand nothing can match the amount of joy I got out of this movie. And number 2 is going to go to Evil Dead Rise. I was fully on board with this. I wanted to see it day one. My wife had not touched Evil Dead before. She had no clue what the Deadites were, what the Necronomicon was. She just had absolutely no clue about it. So she watched the original Evil Dead with me. I told her, I was like, you don't have to watch the other 3 with it. You just have to watch the original to kind of understand the base idea of what Evil Dead is. Then you can go into this one. You'll just have a little bit more knowledge just to help you out here. And when I say that this movie just brought me so much joy, I think Alyssa Sutherland is an incredible Deadite, not only because of the just performance she gives, just the physical aspect of her performance. It is amazing. I love it so much. I think she is so talented. She has some of the most iconic lines, like "Mommy's with the maggots now," or just the whole script in general of Evil Dead Rise. It is at fun level while still having the horrifying aspects of Evil Dead in, but you have those script and you have those one-liners that from the Deadites that just really evolve the movie and help keep it upflow. I also really love the style of this movie, especially being more of a modern Evil Dead film. It has that little tint of green with it, which I thought was very interesting. I like that this is set in an apartment where, yeah, we're still kind of following the whole, oh, I accidentally stumbled upon the Necronomicon and now I accidentally unleashed a bunch of evil spirits into the world. We're still having that, but it's a whole new setting. It's a whole apartment building, which I think it's very creative. I think the whole elevator scene is amazing. It's one of the coolest scenes. I definitely think that the kids being involved makes it a little bit more intense, because this is the first time that we get an Evil Dead movie with kids involved. So the stakes are just a little bit higher when it comes to this movie. So I'm a huge fan of Evil Dead Rise, if you can't tell by now. And so that's why it's going to sit here for me at number 2. And of course, my number 1, did you really think it was going to be any of the other ones? Obviously, it's the original Evil Dead. This is a masterpiece. This is Sam Raimi's masterpiece. And for such a debut film, it's freaking incredible. This is something to be absolutely blown away about with the golden age of the 80s horror films. I love Bruce Campbell. I love the idea of Evil Dead being like a spirit that is coming around a cabin that it's accidentally possessed because we just went into the basement. We just had to read from this book that we didn't really know was exactly not something to read out of. And playing the tape too, the tape is so just haunting when you hear the voice and everything like that. It's something that is so important to the piece of Evil Dead that I love that it's been carried out through other movies, whether it's been accidentally stumbled upon or it's thought out. It works every single time, no matter what, that it is still the same thing over and over again. I love the tape. I think it is a great piece for Evil Dead, especially when they're reading through and he's accidentally reading from the book, spawning the spirits and everything like that all through the tape. I think this is a masterpiece nonetheless. The fact that this was Sam Raimi's first film blows me away. Just every aspect of it, from the color, from the tone, just all the physical and practical effects involved in this movie are definitely nothing but eye pleasing. I can at least constantly watch this one over and over again. I have my perfect balance of horror and comedy where it doesn't feel too much on one side and it doesn't feel too much on the other side. I get right in the middle where I want my Evil Dead film to be. And so, for that being said, Sam Raimi's masterpiece of the original 1981 Evil Dead, it's going to sit here at number 1 for me with my Evil Dead franchise. And with all that being said, that is all 6 Evil Dead films I have to rank here today. Let me know down below in the comments which one's your favorite, which one's the worst one to you, which one would you never touch ever again. I want to know down below. Let me know what you think about Sam Raimi, Fede Alvarez, Lee Cronin, and Sebastian Valeric. I want to hear them all down below, which one you think is the best. With that being said, like, share, and I'll see you guys in the next video.